Welcome back. Welcome back. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. This is a real quick one. I promise you when I say this. But there was a French surgeon. He's retired. He's already serving time for assaulting four children. Then he went back on trial for 300. Retired French surgeon gets maximum 20-year sentence for already young patients. Retired surgeon committed abuses over more than 2 decades, face charges of graping or essaying against 299 patients. Joy Lacerca admitted committing despicable acts. La Samoka already in jail for earlier R-word conviction. A retired French surgeon who SA hundreds of young patients, many of them children, over more than 2 decades, received a 20-year jail sentence on Wednesday in France's worst ever child abuse case. Joel Lasarka stood accused of aggravated R-word or S-AIM of 299 victims, including the R-word of some children who were under anesthetic. He told the court he had committed despicable acts over a 25-year period working as a doctor in Western France. His trial shocked France. I don't know why, because the French president is Satanist. I don't know why, because he is Satanist too. Trust me. His trial shocked France and raised uncomfortable questions for its publicly run healthcare system about how he was allowed to continue abusing his young patients for so long. Presiding Judge Bercy, whose voice at times appeared to choke with emotion, said La Samarca had preyed on victims at their most vulnerable, including under anesthesia. Your acts were a blind spot in the medical world to the extent that your colleagues, the medical authorities, were incapable of stopping your actions. He is already serving jail for earlier R-road convictions. In 2020, he was sentenced to 15 years in prison for graping and SA a child neighbor, as well as his two nieces and a 4-year-old patient. The judge barred Lasaka from practicing medicine or having contact with minors. The court also ordered that he be placed on the sex offenders registry. During the trial, Joel told the court that he was aware the harm he had caused was irreparable. I owe it to all these people and their loved ones to admit my actions and their consequences which they endured and will keep having to do all their lives. His lawyer said his client did not attempt to appeal and hoped to make amends with the victims. Today, justice has been served. The judge said she understood many victims' hope Joy would never leave jail, but that the law did not allow her to impose a life sentence. After outrunning 300 kids, Emmanuel Martin was 10 when she was abused by him, now 36. She said France needed to change its laws so that repeat offenders like him would never walk free again. He only got 20 years. In the United States, he would have gotten 1,000 years. It's unbearable that someone like that can get out. The trial took place at a time of reckoning around SA crimes in France after the conviction of Dominique Pellicot, who was found guilty in December, drugging his wife unconscious and inviting dozens of men to rape her. Victims and their family have publicly asked why local and national health authorities failed to stop him. In 2005, he was convicted of downloading images of child SA abuse and received a suspended jail sentence, but managed to keep working in public hospitals. Several dozen victims and rights campaigners gathered outside the courthouse ahead of the verdict, holding a banner made of hundreds of pieces of white paper with black silhouettes, one for each victim. Some of the papers bore first name and age, while others were referred to as anonymous. The extent of his abuse was revealed after his rearrest in 2017 on suspicion of raping his 6-year-old neighbor. Police discovered electronic diaries that appeared to detail more than 2 decades of rapes and SA on young patients in hospitals across the region, as well as a cache of sex dolls, wigs, and child porn. The trial took place in Van Nuys. The local prosecutor's whose office led the investigation into him has opened a separate investigation to ascertain if there was any criminal liability by agencies or individuals who could have prevented the abuse. And I'm only going to read that one. Um, so that's what happened. But let me go here. Dang, where is it? Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and delete that. We don't need that. Let me go there. I'm trying to find this last article, but I got those things. Oh, I got the videos on lock now. My son showed me how to put them in a folder where I don't have to keep looking for them. Now this is articles. I already okay. Let me see. Let me see if there's anything different in this article. Oh, he was 74 years old when he was sentenced to 20 additional years. So he gonna die. He gonna die up in there. I don't think it's saying anything else to that. Let me see. I said that. All right, play this video and we out.
When police searched surgeon Joel Esquarnec's home after he raped his 6-year-old neighbor in 2017, they found a cache of sex dolls, wigs, and child pornography, and electronic diaries that appeared to detail nearly 3 decades of rapes and sexual assaults on hundreds of young patients in hospitals across Western France. Esquarnec was sentenced to 15 years in jail in 2020 for the rape and sexual assault of his child neighbor, his 2 nieces, and a 4-year-old patient.
Wow.
But the investigation of his files continued, and the 74-year-old will again face trial on February 24th in Vannes, Brittany. It will be France's largest ever child sexual abuse case. Esquarnec is charged with the aggravated rape and sexual assault of 299 people, many of them children. Mathis Vinet was 10 in 2007 when his father and grandfather drove him to the hospital with stomach pain. The grandfather, Roland Vinet, thought nothing of the surgeon's order that Mathis spend the night there alone. In his diary, Esquarnec recalled sexually assaulting a little boy that day and the following one, according to a court document.
We had no idea of what had happened, and he himself didn't talk about it. He could have said he thought it was normal for the doctor to examine him like that. A 10-year-old kid.
Mathis was never the same and fell into a life of alcohol and drugs, the Vinets say. He died of an overdose, aged 24, in 2021,
Wow.
3 years after learning from the police about the abuse he'd allegedly suffered. Reuters couldn't establish the role the surgeon's alleged actions played in Mathis's death. Roland and his wife Morissette believe he took his own life.
There's no other word for it. He killed him. He didn't take a revolver to kill him, but he killed him.
Facts.
He killed all his victims.
Yep.
Because they're not dead, they're still there. But there's a part of them that's completely dead.
And that's a
Comes at
fact.
time of reckoning over sex crimes in France. Dominique Pellicot was found guilty in December of drugging his wife Giselle and inviting men to rape her. 50 other men were accused of rape. Lesquarnec was convicted over child pornography in 2005, but continued to work in public hospitals until his arrest in 2017, raising tough questions for France's publicly funded health system. Francois was 12 when Lesquarnec allegedly abused him.
Je me rends compte que je n'aurais pas dû être opéré par ce chirurgien.
I realized that I should not have been operated on by this surgeon. That ultimately the protections, the safeguards were not activated or were not activated in time, and that the warnings were not listened to. So yes, I feel betrayed by the authorities.
Investigators tracked down potential victims by matching diary descriptions with hospital records. Many of the anesthetized patients had no recollection of the alleged abuse, but psychiatrists documented symptoms of post-traumatic stress in victims, according to court documents. Francois hopes the trial will shift the sense of shame from the victims to the accused.
Facts.
Dès la sortie de l'hôpital, je me suis renfermé sur moi-même.
As soon as I left the hospital, I withdrew into myself. I distanced myself from my parents, from my loved ones.
Je me suis désinscrit à...
I cut all my social ties too. Today, as an adult, I am under an antidepressant treatment, very reinforced psychological monitoring.
Wow.
Prosecutors say Lesquarnec has admitted to investigators many of the accusations he faces. His lawyers declined to comment ahead of the trial.
Yep, I'm gonna keep that so when I do go back into I got 3 videos. Let me see if this one's any different.
Piles of documents detailing France's largest ever child sex abuse trial. French surgeon Joel Lesquarnec has been found guilty of sex offences twice before. In 2005 for possessing child
But
abuse
he kept
material,
working as a
and
surgeon
12
in the
years
hospital
later
with
for the assault
children.
of 4 young people. This week, he's returned to court, charged with the rape and sexual assault of hundreds of young patients at public hospitals, where he'd continued to work until his 2017 arrest.
I have committed despicable acts. I'm aware that the harm I've caused is beyond repair. I owe it to all these people and their loved ones to admit my actions and their consequences, which they've endured and will keep having to endure all their lives.
Stopping short of a full admission, Lesquarnec's lawyer said he admits responsibility for the vast majority of offences against 299 alleged victims.
Wow.
The trial arrives in the wake of Giselle Pellicot's decision to share her own story of abuse at the hands of 51 men last year, prompting many affected by this case to also speak out.
J'ai envie d'une vie simple.
I want a simple life.
We
I
saw
want to no
that.
longer have this weight of awaiting this judgment. To know
Lesquarnec's in our country. He is the one who we were able to apprehend because we had access to his writings.
The case will raise difficult questions for the healthcare system that employed Lesquarnec after his first conviction.
Doctors are particularly protected. There is a kind of aura of protection and immunity that is abnormal for us. We are to be held accountable for our actions. That's it, by the justice system and not just to our peers.
France's health ministry, medical association, and the hospital where Lesquarnec worked have all declined to comment on the case.
I bet they
Angus
did.
McIntosh, ABC News.
I bet you they did. I bet you they did.
I can't wait to see him to tell him what's in my heart, that he killed our grandson. Obviously, he didn't take a revolver, but he killed him.
A 74-year-old former French surgeon accused of the rape or sexual abuse of 299 victims is to stand trial in the country's largest ever sex abuse trial. Joel Lesquarnec will face hundreds of alleged victims during a 4-month trial in Vannes, Brittany, which started on Monday. Most of the alleged victims were children who were patients at the hospital where he worked. Lesquanek does not deny the allegations, though he says he doesn't remember everything. He faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted, on top of the 15 years he has been serving after being found guilty of rape and sexual assault of children. He has admitted child abuse dating back to 1985 to 1986.
1985. He been doing this.
Because the statute of limitations had expired. Lesquanek had already been convicted in 2005 for possessing and importing child sexual abuse material and sentenced to 4 months of suspended prison time. Despite that conviction, he was appointed a hospital practitioner the following year. Because of processing delays, the criminal record check requested by the health ministry at the time didn't mention his past offences. Even after being informed of his conviction, health authorities and hospital management didn't pursue disciplinary action. In 2020, Lesquanek was convicted of rape and sexual abuse of 4 children and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. This case began in 2017 when a 6-year-old child said he had touched her over the fence separating their properties. A subsequent search of his home uncovered more than 300,000 indecent images, as well as notebooks where he
300,000
detailed his actions according to investigation documents. The trial will examine alleged rapes and other abuses committed between 1989 and 2014 against 158 men and 141 women who were, on average, aged 11 at the time.
He didn't care if it was men or boys or girls. This is awful.
Strategy was allegedly to disguise sexual violence as a medical act, targeting young patients who were less likely to recall what had happened.
No one can imagine this horror. No one. Today, I'd like to be able to move on after the trial. Really. Afterwards, I know it's a trauma that will stay with me for the rest of my life. But I'd like to move on.
Lesquanek's lawyer, Thibaut Kozawa, told Sud-Ouest newspaper his client will answer the judge's questions as he decided to face up to reality. The trial comes as activists are pushing to lift taboos that have long surrounded sexual abuse in France. The most prominent case was that of Gisèle Pelligot, who was drugged and raped by her now ex-husband and dozens of other men who were convicted and sentenced in December to prison terms ranging from 3 to 20 years. Child protection and women's rights groups see the trial as an opportunity to reaffirm that shame must change sides, not just onto perpetrators, but the systems that enable it.
What is the place of a victim in France? What is the place of a child's word in France? What are the mechanisms of silence? We can't go on for decades only to discover, dumbfounded, that pedo-criminals are rampant on our territory.
Many hope this will be a day of change, where the tide turned in the fight against sex abuse. But for victims and their families, it's a day that means they might finally have some peace.
That's a damn shame. And me being a victim myself, I didn't tell anybody until I was 28. You do hold that. You hold that. Thinking it's your fault even though you were a kid. And it stays with you until you heal from the trauma. And some people never heal. Like one young man, he died of an overdose. He never healed because it kills something in you. And that's what, it really does, because it takes the innocence of a child. But anyway, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Hit that like button, please.